get to know him with him, and very excited about that. So again, we are in season 2 or off season 2 of Twins Spotlight, where we get to know several Twins minor leaguers, hopefully some current Twins players, and maybe even some players who played for the Twins in the past as well. So please feel free, if you're watching on Twins Daily's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, to send us questions. We'll be happy to ask those. But without further ado, let's jump right into our spotlight, and let's jump into there by saying that again, season 1 was a lot of fun. We had a lot of guests, 35 guests last year. Some of them debuted, others had big seasons this year, and many of them we'll hear from in the future. Season 2 will be great too, no doubt about it. Yesterday we had the Twins minor league hitter of the year, the Twins minor league player of the year, Jose Miranda, on. And today we are going to be joined by our choice, this Twins Daily short season hitter of the year, and that is Kala'i Rosario. And I hope I pronounced that right. We'll make sure we'll ask him in just a second. But he was the Twins' 5th round pick in 2020 out of high school in Hawaii. And we wrote a little bit about him on that day, and unfortunately there wasn't a season in 2020, so we didn't have a chance to write about him until this year, but he gave us plenty to write about, and he was our choice, like I said, for short season hitter of the year. So without further ado, let's get to know him. We'll welcome Mr. Rosario. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to do what Twins PR director Dustin Morris does when he meets a guy, or a guy comes up to the big leagues for the first time. I'm going to ask you, how do you pronounce your name? Because that's what we want to make sure we do.
I'm not going to lie. Like, the way you said it was actually pretty good after, like, all these months of a lot of people saying it. That was actually really good. So it's pretty just Kala'i.
Kala'i?
Yeah, that was perfect right there.
All right.
Really good. Yeah.
I can do that. So let's talk a little bit about you. You've grown up your whole life in Hawaii. Tell me a little bit about your early days as far as growing up and getting into baseball.
Growing up was like, especially in Hawaii, is like just, it was amazing for me just being around with all my family and my friends like my whole life. And we all played basketball, football, baseball. We all played it together. And then just kind of like every sport we play, like the atmosphere and everything, like all your family and friends, like they're just always there supporting you. So that's what it made it a little bit easier for me when I got drafted and I was going all the way to Florida, coming from Hawaii. It was just easier because I had so much love and support from back home. So I knew I could go out there and do my thing.
Absolutely. And I understand that at least some of your family actually made the trip to Fort Myers this year and had a chance to see you play. That's a big deal. So who are some of those people that have been a big impact on you in the baseball world? Obviously your family.
Yeah, definitely my mom and dad, definitely, because they really like pushed me. Like I went to a lot of showcases in the mainland and going out to Perfect Game. I went to area codes, and I feel like those are like very big for me, like getting my name out there. So definitely just thanking them for that. So they helped me out a lot, because without me going out, if I just stayed here, I wouldn't be in the position I am in today. So I had to go, they had to help me. They put me out there. So thankful for that.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about your high school career. Were you on varsity quite a bit? Did you have some pretty good teams?
Yeah, I played with a lot of good players in my life. So, and I worked out with a lot of good guys. We have a lot of good players in here in Hawaii. So we have a lot of people where if you need help with something, there's guys who've been in that position. They've been in high school baseball. They went to college. Colton and Keen, I work out with them a lot. So they've been to the highest stage of baseball. And so just having those kind of people in your life, it just makes things a lot better.
And I had heard that you're really close with the Wong family, Colton and Keen Wong. Like you said, who have both played in the big leagues. I think Colton's even won a Gold Glove or two. But talk a little bit about that relationship. Are you from the same town, from the same school?
Yeah, so we're from the same town. Me and Keen went to the same school. Colton went to a different school, but I mean, we're all pretty in my town. I mean, everybody's 20 minutes away from each other. So it's kind of funny because when you come back home, it's like everywhere you go, there's like a 85% chance you'll know somebody there. So everybody knows everybody. It's a nice little town. Everyone shows love around here, so that's why it's amazing.
Absolutely. Now, besides baseball, were you into other sports or other activities during high school or your younger years?
So my sophomore year, my first year going into football, I really loved football. My senior year, I actually was on the swim team. So I did that because I was a big swimmer, actually. Growing up, my whole life, I surfed almost every single day. I was out in the water, diving, doing whatever. So I really wanted to put my skills to the test so I joined the team my senior year. And actually I did pretty good. I mean, I came top 12 in the state and top 4 on my island. So I mean, I'm more of a competitive guy, so I like to go out there, try new things, kind of competing with different people and different aspects in different games too.
I said earlier in your, I mean, you're 19, so it's not like you've had a whole lot of earlier in your life. But
Yeah.
if I tried to remember earlier in my life, I probably couldn't even remember it. But again, we're
Yeah.
joined by Kala'i Rosario, the Twins outfield prospect. Did a great job this year in the FCL. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask or just leave a comment if you like, congratulating him or welcoming him into the organization. But I want to talk a little bit about, you had made the comment of going frequently to the mainland. I know you kind of made a name for yourself probably before this, but the area code games is kind of where you, I think, got more into the national spotlight as really a guy that had a chance to be drafted in 2020. And I know that Twin scout John Levitt, who's been in the organization, I think, since 1987, was the guy that your area scout. So can you talk a little bit about what those events did for you and then your contact with John or other scouts at those events?
Yeah. So probably one of my biggest showcase I went to was a PG National, and then there was just scouts everywhere. So I think coming from Hawaii, there's not a lot of like big scenery like that from a baseball standpoint, where there's that much scouts and people, a lot of eyes on you. So like I was definitely nervous going into that showcase, and then later that summer I went to area code, and then after kind of going into those and then playing against these guys, and these guys are the best. They're the best in the nation. So it's pretty much, I kind of put myself in that game and I said, hey, I can hang with these guys. And then it just made my confidence go up a little bit more. And then pretty much after the area codes and stuff, now I'm pretty much just going out there, having fun, just playing the game I know I can play. So going out there and having fun and just playing it to my ability. You went mute. I can't hear.
I do that every show. That's why I try not to mute, but I did. Leading into the draft, obviously that the COVID situation, wasn't a lot of playing that spring. Only a 5-round draft. What were some of your thoughts going into the draft? Did you have an option if you didn't get drafted, or were you pretty set on wanting to play pro ball?
I was pretty set on playing pro ball, but I knew like if I didn't get drafted, I was in a good position. Like I'm like, okay, I was fine with going to school. Like that was a good option too. So I had my options on the table, but then definitely like getting drafted, like definitely was my dream, and just climbing my way up to the big leagues. So because maybe like my sophomore year in high school, I put my foot down and I kind of told myself like this is what I want to do. Like I want to get drafted out of high school, and then I'm pretty like that's what I mean. Like when I got to high school, I told myself like I started working way harder than what I usually do, and then just taking in a lot of notes on what scouts tell me after they watch a game. Like you need to work on this, and then kind of just taking it all in, and then kind of just working with that on like when Keen and Colton guys are home. Just the little things, just getting better every day, I should say. Kind of, it's just a big voice for me.
Absolutely. And again, we welcome comments from anyone who's watching, and we'll go right to one of our Twins Daily writers, Chieris Rabello, who asks, "Hey, Kala'i, growing up, what sports team did you used to support or follow?" And that's a great question. I meant to ask it earlier. Growing up in Hawaii, is there a favorite team of most Hawaiian players, or do you just pick and choose?
You really do pick and choose. So it's kind of funny because I was a Yankees fan growing up, and then my favorite player was probably Derek Jeter and Robinson Cano. I really like them too. And then after I got drafted by the Twins, I was talking to some of my hitting coaches about this because I was telling them, yeah, I'm watching the Yankees tonight because I was telling them I was a Yankees fan all my life, and then I said my dream is to make it to the big leagues with the Twins and then taking the Yankees out in the first round of the playoffs. So I was like, that would be a dream come true to take out my own team, the team I was always rooting for.
Thank you, Cheers, for the question. And honestly, when you said you were a Yankees fan, I almost cut you off right there, but you redeemed yourself by saying you want to take them out when you get to the big leagues with the Twins. So
Yeah,
I hope every Twins fan like that.
I was like, that would be an absolute dream. I want to make it to the big leagues with the Twins, and I want to take them out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So real quick, and I do have more questions. So again, keep them coming in here. That'd be great. But I want to kind of touch base. After you signed, what was the process? I mean, you obviously had to come to the States and get signed. Was there anything you were able to do in between?
It was tough. I mean, it was just a long period of time of no like competitive baseball. So we were just working out every single day. It kind of helped out too. I mean, I had one of my other buddies, Micah. He plays with the Brewers. Kian came back home, and I had a few of my friends who were in college. So we had our little group. We would work out every morning in the cages and stuff, and we would kind of keep close to each other. And then just going into that year, I mean, it was tough for all of us. Just staying away from baseball that long. It's if you ask anybody in the industry, it's hard to stay away from it competitively for that long, like a whole season of nothing. It's tough, but I mean, I was just so grateful this year to have a full season, healthy. I mean, pretty much just being out there that's all you needed. Like
Absolutely.
it was amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Did you go to Instructional League last fall?
Yes, I was there last fall. So Instructional League was my first like taste of pro ball.
Okay. And then did that kind of get you a plan going into your first off season last year to kind of get yourself ready for spring training this year?
Yeah, definitely. So it was tough for me going into Instructional League because last year's Instructional League, it was the new draft guys, and then it was pretty much all our older prospects and stuff. But it was good for me too because I was facing a lot of good arms, and then I could get a lot more feedback from because I was working with all the hitting coaches too, and then I kind of just took a lot of that in with my trainers, working with my trainers, seeing what my body needs to do to come back next season, and then just having that and a few months of off season, it was huge for me, just taking that all in and then coming back this season, just keep going at it, and then just having a full healthy year, just putting it all together.
Absolutely. For those of you that will be listening to this on the Twins Daily podcast later, that is the voice of Kala'i Rosario. Twins' fifth-round pick last year, and we are going to talk about his impressive 2021 FCL season in which he was the Twins Daily short season minor league hitter of the year. But I want to jump to just a couple of quick questions. I think this is a fairly quick answered question. This one's from, I believe, Cody Cooks. It says, "Hey, Kala'i, you're from Hawaii?"
Yes, Cody.
I'm assuming this is someone you know, right?
Yeah.
It's good to have friends, right? Thank you very much for the question. Now, if you want to tell us any good stories about Kala'i growing up that we can put on a PG show, we'll be sure to ask him about those. No. One more about growing up in Hawaii. This one comes from Cogs. Hey, Kala'i. Oh, I'm sorry. What were some of your favorite activities to do in Hawaii?
Oh, okay. I think my number one favorite activity. Oh, that's hard to answer from Hawaii. There's a lot of things. I would say surfing. I would say anything in the water. Anything in the water. But at the same time, yeah, water, beach, surfing, diving, the baseball field. I mean, we got it all here.
You got options, and you got good
We got
weather too
options, yeah.
most of the time. All right. Again, thanks for the question. We do have a couple more here that I haven't gotten to yet, but I kind of want to lead into them a little bit. So tell me a little bit about this year, spring training. You came to Fort Myers again in late April, and you were part of the complex, staying in the dorm, staying in the academy. What was a typical day like for you while the AA, AAA, A-ball team was playing, while you were still in what was called extended spring training? What was a typical day for you then?
Um, for for me, it was pretty much a lot of early mornings. And it was actually long days. So for my first year too, it was kind of tough because I was waking up early every single morning. We was working, lifting a lot, and then kind of just the transitioning to that. It was a little tough, but I mean, after you get used to it, it got better. But a lot, pretty much early mornings while everyone else was sleeping, I would say, in the older affiliates.
Absolutely. And then it was, I believe, about mid or late June when the FCL season got started. How did things change a little bit there? And what was it like to just finally get to play real games against other teams and have your stats count?
Yeah, definitely. Extended was tough. I mean, it felt like deja vu every single day, just the same. We played the Red Sox a lot, that's why. So it was kind of the same thing every day. And then once we got into season, it kind of just felt like it just felt really good just being out there, like back on the field, playing competitive baseball, going out there wanting to win every day, every game. And then yeah, just the full season. I mean, it was a good year and some good baseball, so it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I have another question here from Colton Persons. I'm sorry. Kala'i, do you have a everyday pregame routine? And if so, what is it? Secondly, good luck on your road to the big leagues. Hope you get there soon. So yeah, I mean, it's a little different playing in the FCL where your games are, I think, at noon or 1 o'clock than maybe if you play at night. But what is that typical morning before a game?
Mornings before a game, um, it's it's tough. Honestly, in the FCO, I would say it's a tough life. Wake up early in the morning. We'd have a every other day lift, or we would have a defense, and then I'd say half an hour to an hour before the game. That was my routine. Was more of a doing my movement prep, more of a like a regen that one of my trainers put me on. So that was kind of just having that to like opening up my body before the game. Every game was kind of as a big routine for me.
Oh, very good. You mentioned playing against the Red Sox a lot during extended, and then during the season as well. And one guy that I know you were drafted with, and people talked about all the time, and kind of compared the two of you, is Blaze Jordan with the Red Sox, and the power and the home run derbies. You guys went up against each other quite a bit. Two of the biggest power hitters potentially in that draft. Do you know him? Did you get to get to know him on the
Yeah, yeah,
national circuit a bit? And was it kind of nice having a guy right there in Fort Myers that you kind of knew a little bit on the other teams?
yeah. That was a big thing too. Like seeing like some of the guys that got drafted in my class, because that was a cool thing too. Like sitting on my couch on draft day and then seeing like all these guys that I just played with in the summer, seeing their names get called was pretty cool. And then I played with Blaze in area codes. I versed him in the home run derby. Me and him were in the championship together. So yeah, we have our memories, me and him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was there anyone in the Twins organization that you really knew before joining the organization?
Nobody.
Nobody. Okay.
I didn't know anyone. Yeah.
All right. No, that's a good answer. So let's talk about the season a little bit. And I'm going to pop this up here real quick to put your numbers up on the screen. And, too much, what do you call it? Ads and stuff here. But, you're only 18, 51 games. You hit 277, 341 on base, 452 slugging. You had 10 doubles, 4 triples, 5 homers, and 40 RBIs. So as you look at your numbers, are you happy with that? Have you set any goals or what you were trying to accomplish throughout the year?
For me, I mean, I feel like I had a really good year for my first year. So, and then I just talked to a lot of our coaches and the coordinators. Like, we had a meeting, and I'm saying like they're telling me what they want to see, and I'm like giving feedback like what I want to work on, like how I want to excel my game. So like more of just looking at my numbers and saying like next year I can work on my speed. I can get my stolen bases up, or just working on my base running in general, and then that number can just go up more coming into next season, playing a lot more games, and then more of a just kind of taking in what I did this season, just going into next year and just going off of that, and then just seeing improvements off of that.
Absolutely. You got good walk numbers. The strikeout numbers might be a little higher than you want. But again, 23 extra base hits. You have to be happy with that, especially, wood bat and just getting adjusted to pro ball and the heat in Florida and the humidity. I imagine, you still showed off that power, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whoever played in the FCO, if they're watching this, they know that like it's not an easy league especially with the weather. The umpires, they're not in your favor ever. I mean, you have a lot of tough at bats with them. So yeah, just being in that league, it's tough. I mean, it's a grind. A lot of hot days. You just got to go out there and compete and just do your thing.
And you look at that roster, besides yourself, you've got Emmanuel Rodriguez, who I think had 10 home runs. Carlos Aguilar had 8. Laurent Smith had 5. Several had 3 or 4. I mean, there's some talent on that FCL roster, isn't there?
Yeah, we had a lot of good guys in that team, and it was a good team. I mean, a lot of guys. We talk a lot. I mean, just helping out each other. Learn a little bit of Spanish because of this team. I should say, because it was there was maybe like 3 guys who speak English, and then the rest was all Latin Spanish. So yeah, it was definitely like a big cultural shock for me. So just this whole year kind of bonding with them too, it helped me with my game too, just seeing it at a different perspective too, like how they work and what they do is kind of saying like what you can do in some different ways. This was nice to see.
It's interesting. You mentioned kind of working on your Spanish, and I know that in the academy, a lot of the Spanish or Latin players are able to take some English courses. Are you able to take Spanish courses, or for you, is it all learning through talking to these players?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I do a Spanish class every morning at 7 before my day. My day starts at like 8:30, and then so I go with my Spanish teacher and there was like 5 of us in the class, one other teammate and a few of my coaches. So we would go to Spanish class at 7, and then me and my other teammate, Frank, we would teach English twice a week to the Latins.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite an education in itself, I'm sure, trying to teach and convey it and make it make sense.
Yeah, we're all close with each other, so I mean it was fun. I mean, we learned Spanish in the morning, and then nighttime me and him come back, and then we helped him with the English.
Sure. Did you get a chance to go over at night to the Hammond Stadium to any of the Mighty Muscles games, or by that time are you pretty much ready to crash?
No, I seen a lot of games. Yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, spring training, instructs, like I played with a lot of those guys, so definitely going out there and supporting them, and then really just seeing like the competition there, like seeing how the stadium is, how it plays, is like a big thing for me, because so I know like what I'm getting into next year, and seeing like how I can already be prepared like before I even get there. Just not knowing like before I play there, like I already know like how it is, what happens.
All right, last few minutes here with Kala'i Rosario of the Twins, outfield prospect. I'm going to just talk briefly about that. I know in high school, I think you played a lot more center field, but most say you profile more in the corners. You probably played twice as much in right as in left this year. Is that where you kind of feel like you will end up, or are you going to play a little of everywhere? Is that the plan until you get
I
somewhere?
feel like definitely the corner outfield. So I played right field pretty much every day for the first half of the season to 3/4, and then our outfield coordinator, he mentioned like how it's a big thing to know every position, because when you move up in levels, like you're not always going to be in that one position. You'll be right, you're going to be left some nights. So kind of I got a lot of action in left. It was a little bit of an adjustment, but it's a big thing in the game. Like right field and left field, I should say, like they're definitely like, it's not the same. It's the ball comes out different off the bat, lefty righty. So it's good to get some reps out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the tail of the ball is a
Yeah.
lot different. The lefty, tails away from you in left field or
Mm-hmm.
right-handed that way. So, last couple minutes. Normally, I ask what you plan on doing during the off season as one of the last questions, but we're going to let someone else ask that. Safia says, Kala'i, what are you looking forward to now that you're home? And I mean, I didn't mention it before, but you just got home.
Yeah, definitely what I'm looking forward to is like just really spending a lot of time with my friends and family. Just because, I mean, when I'm in Florida, I mean, every like once in a while, you kind of, everyone gets that feeling where it's like, damn, I wish I could just be with my family or my friends like just for a few days or something. So kind of just soaking it all in for these next few months, just hanging out with all my friends and my family, and then definitely getting that work in. So working out every day and just really being prepared for next season.
We got a request here for you from Cody. Kala'i, can I please get to meet you while you're at home? I also live on the Big Island. I feel like I'm a liaison here between you and your friends.
Yes, Cody, definitely. I'll text you after this.
I was going to say, I think you're going to have to
Yeah.
start texting and calling people after this and say, literally, I just got home today. So
Yeah, I love the support though. Love the support from my friends.
Yeah, I bet you find that a lot, especially in a place like Hawaii, where it is kind of on its own, so to speak. Ball players. I mean, did I read Cody Medeiros is from your high school?
Yeah, from my high school too.
Former first-round pick. I mean, it's kind of a fraternity. Riley Weidel was a former Twins draft pick. I think he's with the Dodgers organization now from Hawaii. It does seem like people are just really close-knit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, so like Hawaii's like, it's really like our own little bubble over here. Like we're like a big old family over here. So everywhere, like if you need help or something, like usually like you turn to your right or your left, like you can find help in like a friend or your family. Like there's a lot of support around this island.
Oh, that's awesome. Want to ask this one from Chieros again, Chieros on that's one of our Twins Daily writers. Kala'i, who do you think is going to win the World Series? Have you been watching, since your season's been done?
Yeah, I've been watching. I was kind of hopping teams because I was going with the Brewers first because I was rooting for Colton. And then I went to the Giants because Kai Correa from Hawaii, he was on there. And then so I'll say the Braves.
Eddie Rosario has become.
I gotta go for Rosario. Definitely.
Yeah, right.
I've been watching him. Yeah.
I'm assuming you're not related, right?
Maybe down the road. I'm not. You maybe I don't know.
Maybe there's a connection between Hawaii and Puerto Rico or something. So, again, I feel like I just getting to know you here. I mean, it's what do you see as kind of the big thing that you really want to want to work on, want to improve over the off season? You mentioned before that you had a good conversation with the coaches, with the coordinators. Will you be communicating with them at all throughout the off season? And if there was one thing you really wanted to focus on, what might that be?
I think probably like the three big points is for Instructs, kind of working more on my bat path, and then kind of I just want to expand my game a little bit more to where for this my first season I really hammered fastballs up a lot, so I kind of want to expand my zone to where I can hit a lot more pitches than my hot zone. So in Instructs a lot, I've been working on that, just working on just creating a better path for myself. And then another thing I'd probably say speed, just in general, like it'll help out a lot with stolen bases, routes in the outfield, base running, scoring more runs, and then just kind of taking that all in and then just going out there in my season and just really putting it out all out there on the field.
Now that you've experienced the season, does that make you look even more excited for next year? Kind of knowing what one season was, and now next year knowing most likely you'll be at a full season team, and does it really get you going now that you've been through it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, baseball is amazing. Like it's my number one sport. I love it. So kind of once you get out there to spring training and then like it's kind of the countdown starts until season, it's like it's really exciting to be out there and then kind of just waiting to get out there, lights turn on, just going out there and competing every day with all your teammates and trying to get out there and go get that win.
Absolutely. Well, if there's one more thing that you'd want Twins fans to know about you, what would that be? Is there something that you either feel real passionate about besides surfing? And because Minnesota doesn't have surfing, but we got plenty of lakes.
I mean, just go out there and say, I'm a very passionate guy. I mean, I'm gonna go out there, give my 110% every day, every game. I'm gonna go out there, push myself in the off season, in season. I'm gonna give it my all, man. I'm gonna go out there and play my game.
Hey, one last question, if you don't mind. I know that you probably get compared or you're talked about with Sabato, with Al Sulere, but those are college guys. Do you and Marco Raya kind of have a connection as the two high school picks from that draft last year?
Yeah, definitely. I had a lot of talks with him this season, and then just like talking with him about like how we're both in high school and saying like just having those small little talks with him and say, hey man, like me and you, we're gonna climb this ladder together, like, and then he was on just being around him pretty much this whole season, kind of just helped out a lot with our relationship, and then pretty much just those small talks, just saying like, hey man, like we got it, like we can do this, like we're climbing up that ladder together.
And any Twins minor leaguers or players that have been on a previous Twins Spotlight who know that when I say I have one more question, that probably means three or four. I want to ask you about playing manager this year was Takashi Miyoshi. So how was he? And then your hitting coaches. Who were your hitting coaches? And from day to day, were they working with you, or a lot of BP or that kind of thing? A lot of video.
Yoshi, I would say like he was one of like a really good coach for me because he had a lot of good feel for the game. Like he had a lot of experience too. Just saying like for me, he knew like what to say in the right situations. Like he knows what my body, like what I need to. He knows what I need to do to get to the next level. So like he would always talk to me, keep me on my toes, just saying like this and that. And my hitting coaches too. Like I feel like all of them have a lot of good feel for the game, and they kind of know every individual like what they need to work on, and just feeling like what they need to do to like make it to the next level. Because I mean, that's what we're all here for, to make it to the big leagues step by step.
Absolutely. And with that, I'm going to let you go. I want to say thank you so much, not only to you, but for all those that were listening, all your friends in Hawaii who sent in fun questions, and Cherish and others who sent in questions. We'll be back either later this week or certainly next week with some more Twin Spotlights. But man, you're 19, future's, the sky's the limit, and certainly wish you a great off season, and look forward to either meeting you next spring, hopefully in Fort Myers. And best wishes to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks again to everyone for listening. Again, you can watch this back on Twins Daily's Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube pages. We'll also have it on the Twins Daily podcast shortly. With that, thank you all very much for listening and have yourselves a great night. And of course, go Twins.